Well, I had a butler today. Tim Peake picked me up at the airport in, where the hell are we at? Nashville. Do you know I almost got on the Memphis flight? When I got off my first flight, after today, maybe some people wish I had got on the Memphis flight. When I get off the flight from Atlanta, the connecting flight, I asked the guy where my flight was, and he told me gate A4. So I went down to A4, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking, and I see it says Memphis. And I'm like, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. And about 35 minutes into the flight, I get out and I said, ma'am, is this a Nashville flight? She goes, oh, this is a Memphis flight. She goes, oh, you're down there, you gotta take the tram, it's B1. I literally walked in as they were boarding. That happened to me before, I was not happy about it. So, here in Tennessee, we're in Tennessee right now. Yeah. We're in Tennessee, left Kentucky on my way to the airport. You know, obviously a little disappointed. I went there thinking, one, if he trotted was a lock, and the pacer, if I could find a trip for him, who knows? You know, he's first, second, or third best, I believe, but from the 7-hole, who knows? You know, you don't know. And, you know, I got thinking about it. I don't want to get away 7th. There was a lot of horses in there that really, not to take anything away from them, I'm not making fun of them, but they didn't show a whole lot. So in my mind, Dave Miller and Andy Miller are going to get away 1, 2. At best, I'm going to go away 5th or 6th and be stogged with cover. I don't think I can beat them. You know, I had said to Tim before, I'm going to have to go into there a little bit with them. Keep in mind, I didn't know that Arson could leap like that. Usually he's a little scared of the gate. He was all business today. He comes screaming off the car, and I really thought, I'll tell you one thing, I don't ever go fishing with Andy and Dave Miller. I thought I'd fish one of them out. 31 seconds the second quarter, and I could have won a half at 5, and I don't think Andy Miller was coming. And Dave Miller, I didn't actually watch the replay yet. I don't know what happened. I know I was going by a TV, and I saw him. He was first over at one point, but geez, that colt raced like a monster last week, and I didn't, you know, we went 27-4 down the backstretch. It didn't feel like we were going there. I just didn't want to get bushwhacked again by Dave Miller's horse. I felt that the half was enough. Maybe Andy could get there, but I didn't think he could off those fractions, and he did. I mean, Arson raced good. He raced as good as he could. And no, he's not as good on the front, but I did everything I could, aside from taking him back, I suppose. I guess that's not true. I could have floated out soft out of the gate and looked to get into the 2-hole. I probably could have. Just when I'm lining up behind the gate, it just didn't. I didn't believe that there was a situation where I could float, land in the 2-hole, and stay there. And quite frankly, if I do land in the 2-hole, maybe Dave Miller tries Andy. Maybe he just didn't want to try me. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to go through it in hindsight. The horse raced good. You know, he's got, 50,000 made in 3 starts now? And he's going to be a really nice colt. He doesn't do his best work on the front end. I know that. And you saw his sister today. You know, he was very, very tender with Charleston. She won in 49, but if you watch the first start of the race, he got away 3rd at 4-5 behind longer shots, waited, and then attacked us. You know, Timmy always has the horses measured so perfectly, but she just drove away. And, you know, it's funny, I was pulling up and I said to Timmy, and he goes, that's Charleston's brother, right? Because we talked about him in another video. He said, yeah, she doesn't like the front very much. I said, he doesn't hate the front, but he doesn't do his best work up here. And I thought the horse raced really well, a half in 58, a mile in 54. 54-1, I think I went.
Yep.
Yeah, certainly nothing to sneeze at. The horse raced good. And very disappointed with Pickpocket. Now, not disappointed with the horse. I can assure you he wasn't perfect today. I had to hold him together coming out of the gate in the first turn, and he did that a little bit the first week and still finished second and raced good. But the one constant between the first week and this week, the more I think about it, was the track was deep. Now, the week in between, it rained hard, and the track was actually a little firm. And he wears a set of flip-flops. I couldn't possibly take the flip-flops off of him at Oak Grove. I couldn't do it. Now, obviously, we can't draw blood because we train out of a cave here in Oak Grove. But we might be able to get him scoped tonight, and obviously I want to make sure he didn't bleed, but I have no reason to believe he bled. He post-paraded good. He was a cool customer all day. He was polite when I was trying to keep him together in the first turn. When I moved him, I just thought he was biding his time. You know, he just felt very professional to me. But around the last turn, from the 3/8 pole almost to when it was apparent halfway down the lane I wasn't going to reach, I just didn't foresee there a way I could lose. And when I was second over, I was just sitting there, quiet. He just behaved himself. I kind of fanned him out in the last turn to give him a little room to let him get a head of steam coming so he could jump on that horse. He was flat. So was he a little bit sick? I don't think so, because he wasn't really laboring after the race. I just don't think he got a hold of the track very good. And I can't be angry at that. I can't be angry at Eric. I can't be angry at myself, because how could I possibly change his shoes after the race he went last week?
Right.
It's impossible. So yeah, I feel terrible because there's money left on the table, but I just don't. If it was his shoes, which I'm almost positive it was, if it was his shoes, I just don't foresee a way we could have deviated from the path we were on to get here today. I had told everybody weeks in advance that once we get to Kentucky, get those flip-flops on and that nice soft clay track, just put a nice little set of 9/16 on him with no grab, and just let the horse trot. I think he's going to be a killer. Now that is also, that will all be decided by this scope, because we scoped him and he did bleed a little bit. That's it for Kentucky. He's going to New Jersey, but I don't think he did. The reason I'm talking like this is because we've had 4 Walners before this that did bleed. 3-Point Blue Chip did show a little bit of blood. As a 2-year-old before we put him on Lasix, and then immediately when we put him on Lasix, lo and behold, he wins the matron and looks like a killer the rest of his year until he fortunately got hurt. But I don't think that's the case with this colt. He's not rude. He's not hot. He did everything right except for win today. And quite frankly, had he got up and won, I would still be talking like this, just with a little more of a smile on my face than I do right now. He was not good today. But I believe, assessing everything that went on today, I believe the track was just a little too loose for him, and he didn't get a hold of it well. That's my take on today's race. Now, I will back that up. Hopefully, the vet has a scope there this afternoon. They did 2 weeks ago. They did not last week. I hope the vet has a scope there today, and then I can go to sleep tonight knowing that it was just the track, and knowing also that there's nothing I can do about that. That race was going to play out that way no matter what.
Yeah, you can't make a shoeing change.
No, there was no way. If it was a shoeing, there was no way I could deviate from the path he was on today. It is impossible. And that path had been drawn up for quite a while. We were going to race him with the flip-flops in the final. We were going to take them off in Kentucky. That's exactly what we still will do. How do you get beat? What are you going to do? You get beat. We walked out of Kentucky, out of Oak Grove with $50,000 today, when, yes, it felt like had I sat in the pocket with Arson, and driven him easier at the start, maybe could I beat him? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I would have been third. Maybe Dave Miller would have looped to the front, and Andy and him would have been 1-2, and I would have been a close third. I don't know. Just pickpocket. There was no other way to race that horse. Everything worked out perfectly. If you would have said, draw me up the easiest way for pickpocket to win the final in Kentucky today with the least amount of wear and tear on him, that was the trip right there. So as upsetting as it is, and as it kind of rips you apart a little bit, obviously when I come off the track, the first question I asked myself was, could somebody else have won with that horse? Pickpocket, no. Arson, I don't know. Maybe that'll eat away at me a little bit.
I don't know if there was a hole for you to squeeze into with Arson.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm not going to build a time machine to find out.
Right.
Race is over. It is what it is. We got 2 deuces. Raced good. Tell you what was impressive. I watched Absolute Euphoria just win at 51-3 at Scioto. So, a lot of the times when we make these long range, long game plans with the horses, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget that it's coming to fruition. Way back in January, when Absolute Euphoria had that line in her knee, we took our time, 3 weeks in the stall, 3 weeks in the pool, brought her back, worked on her knee, had to really work with this filly to clean up her gait. James did a great job. Dominic did a fantastic job. Cindy, everybody associated with Absolute Euphoria did a tremendous job with that filly. And lo and behold, today, I didn't know she had that in her like that, like to be second over, almost be 3 wide in the last turn, and then just kind of fan her out and zoom, gone, 51-3. It was a big mile for her, and a big step in obviously in what possibly could be her career, let alone her racing right now. That's a big step forward for her. So impressed with her. I guess I did jump over and leave out Militant. Obviously, all my partners in Militant are disappointed. I am too. He was slated to be turned out in Kentucky and stay down here. I can't do that now. He's going to have to come back and be held under a little closer, a little tighter microscope. He'll either come to the Meadows and end up in Northfield, or come directly to Northfield. The reason I say the Meadows is Arson. I was torn on this, but after watching what kind of shape they're in here in Kentucky. Kathy and Eric have done a great job. The horses, Arson has put on 80 to 100 pounds in the searing heat here in Kentucky. He looks exceptionally good. Kathy and Eric have done a great job in these horses. And, you know, this big wide shed rows and the big barn with lots of sunlight, it must be low stress, because even Per Lucky, who never carried weight, has put weight on. And he looks amazing also. So, I guess I am going to have to make a couple of deviations real quick. Little sidebar, little side note. Per Lucky, I was going to send him to Minnesota, but the truck can't leave for 11 days. I think Joey Putnam is going to race that horse first. I have to finalize that, but I believe Joey Putnam's going to race this horse for us next week in Oak Grove, and then he'll go on to Jim Eaton, where Jim can race him in Indiana until the meet at Hawthorne opens up. Makes all the sense in the world. Jim won in 52 with him in Indiana last year, and he's a better looking horse now than he was then. I can guarantee you that. So, Per Lucky, we're going to scrap the Minnesota trip for this guy. I have to call Mr. Lems, Nick Lems. Really nice guy I talked to on the phone, and all but rubber stamped it. But after finding out that the truck's not leaving to go there for 11 days, I think we're going to have to walk that one back. But most definitely we'll do business with Nick in the future. We got Steel Cowboy and 5 other horses coming up today still. Got away late. I'll tell you one thing, there was a 0% chance I could ever make my flight if I had even thought about staying to drive Steel Cowboy. You know, I had Julie Miller and Andy Miller both tell me, 1, they were the underbidders on him on gate to us, and 2, they both wanted this horse. I said, well, we'll see how much you want him, because you're going to drive him here today. So Andy Miller is going to drive Steel Cowboy in the 10th as I'm on my way to the airport right now. I guess we'll have another video tonight as we have, that isn't even half of our racing in today. So happy, a little deflated, but happy with Arson. Deflated more than a little with Militant, but I don't blame the horse. He did what he could. Mechanically, he looked great, and he's going to be a really nice horse for us. Regardless of what took place today, whether it was the shoes, or even if he comes back a little sick, or heaven forbid if he even bled a little bit, regardless of what path we take from here, he's going to be a good horse for us. And I truly believe it's his shoes, and I think we're going to find that verified today under scope. So less than, maybe I was greedy, but yeah, I feel like I left some money on the table today. That's racing. I was, as I said, happy with Arson. He's turned into such a sweetheart to drive. Happy with, you know, it's not often you can leave with a 2-year-old like that, put him in park, walk them through the half, and have him sprint as hard as he can at the end of it. That just shows the tenaciousness of the horse. He's going to be a nice horse for us also. Pickpocket, good. Not great, good. Arson, pretty good. Not great, pretty good. A fantastic mile from Absolute Euphoria. And you know what? We'll get to the bottom of Militant. Don't worry. I warmed him up. He's not lame. So you don't have to worry about him being lame. He's not lame. But mechanically, he's not right. Back to, don't forget to call Laura.
She's used to me declining.
There you go. Back to the drawing board with Militant. We'll get him squared away. He's inches. I don't know what he is. I'm not going to lie and say I know how good he is. I don't. But he is very, very close to being the horse he's supposed to be right now. Maybe not what we wanted. That's pretty obvious. But we'll get him squared away and get him moving forward in the very near future. So, with that, the first part of our day is over. We did have 2 seconds and a first already today. Hopefully we can keep that going in the near future throughout the rest of the afternoon into the evening. I'll talk to you guys soon. We're on our way to the airport. Hopefully I make my flight, and I'm back in Cleveland tonight for Blend.